to some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick. Here's Johnny.
I have to return some videotapes.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Hello and welcome to All Things Horror. I am Ben and I'm joined here with Matt, and today we're going to be chatting about the 1982 cult classic Basket Case. We'll have a brief spoiler-free chat, then I'll hit a spoiler warning to discuss the plot in a little bit more detail, and then we'll give our personal ratings from 1 to 10. So this is written and directed by Frank Henenlotter. Is that how you say his name, Matt? I know you're a big fan.
One of the greatest filmmakers ever made.
Ooh.
Ever made in the womb.
So this is his first one, isn't it? Like his directorial debut.
Yeah, this is all, credit card and beg, steal and borrow, really low budget as you can get. I know we're not trivia, but my favorite piece of trivia is that the money that Duane is counting out to give to the guy in the hotel in the film is the whole budget for the film.
Oh, okay, yeah, I did read that online. That's pretty interesting. How much? I've got the budget here. What was it? 35k.
Yeah,
that's
something like that.
Nothing really. Like as far as like movie budgets.
Yeah, and it's just like the triumph of creativity. Like a great idea, really creative. I mean, I like all of Frank Henenlotter's films. I've seen all of them, and I like all of them. They're usually, with the exception of his last one, they're all lots of fun, really creative, bright, like mad as a box of frogs, just insane, but so much fun. And obviously this is the one that started it all. So yeah. Have you seen Basket Case 2 and 3?
I have not. No.
So they're great, but like even sillier. Like
right.
Just silly. Just it gets progressively silly in a fantastic way.
Yeah.
It's.
I was going to ask you what was up with those two, because I've only seen like a couple of clips and trailers, and it seems to be a lot more like off the rails compared to this one. I mean, this one can get quite silly, but like 2 and 3 looks like it's like amped
there's
up
like
a little bit
musical
more.
elements and like I think it just gets super creative with it. Like some of because obviously you've only really got Belial that isn't like the same as a human being. But in 2 and 3 you get a real cast of characters.
Right. And are they all done by Frank Henenlotter?
The films,
the sequels,
yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't really know a lot about Frank Henenlotter.
No, he's like I say, he's not made a ton of films, but the films he's made are all like Frankenhooker, and I've got a Brain Damage poster on my wall. Right. They're all really, really memorable. Like some people would say like warped, but I think he just understands like exploitation cinema in the sense of like it's never boring. He's not made a boring film. Even the film of his I like the least. I'm trying to remember what it's called now, but like it's a body. I mean, most of it is a body horror, but what was it called? Mine's gone blank, but I do have it on my notes somewhere. But Bad Biology. Bad Biology doesn't have the charm of Basket Case and Brain Damage and Basket Case 2 and Basket Case 3 and Frankenhooker. They all have a charm to them. Bad Biology doesn't, but you'll never forget it.
Right. I know. I already knew that you were a big fan of this one because I think you've mentioned it a few times. But you told me about this before we'd even started the podcast, before we even started episode 1. Like, I remember you gave me a list of movies that you liked, and a lot of them were like cult films, and I think for the most part I'd at least heard of a lot of them. But this one I hadn't heard of. I'd never even heard of Basket Case. So, yeah, I was totally unaware of it. And I was wondering how you came across this one.
Well, I was going through a phase of watching so-called bad movies. And I can't remember how long ago this was, but I watched this and I was like, oh, hang on a minute. This isn't a bad movie. This is really good. And that's the best kind of surprise, really.
Yeah.
I watched this and I watched Street Trash back to back on the same night. And without going off on a tangent, I really, really disliked Street Trash because I watched Basket Case first. And like I said, it has a lot of charm, Basket Case.
Right.
And Street Trash really didn't. And funnily enough, I just watched the 2024 version of Street Trash last night, and it does have quite a lot of charm. It's like an South African take on it, but it's really good. But without going off at a tangent too much, yeah, that was when I first watched it. I think I may have watched it on YouTube. The moment I finished watching it, I ordered it on like physical copy and ordered 2 and 3. I was just like, let's go. Wow. And then my friend who I was watching them with, we were like, oh, he's done Brain Damage. Right, we'll watch Brain Damage. Oh, we'll watch Frankenhooker. So we just watched them all like within a couple of weeks. Okay. We were all in straight away. And it took me a while to find Bad Biology. It's quite a difficult one to find. I was like kind of surprised. It was very 2008 kind of feel to it, very Saw kind of grimy kind of thing. But I think what makes this so good as well is Kevin Van Hentenryck and Van Hentenryck. I always want to say Heidenreich, like the wrestler, but Kevin Van Hentenryck. He's kind of strange and odd and wonderfully charming as well.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, without getting too much into my review, like I would just say that I actually bonded with this one quite quickly. Yeah. And like, because I after you recommended it to me, I didn't watch it. It was only recently I watched it in the last couple of months for the first time. And seeing pictures and the trailer beforehand kind of prepped me for what it was going to be like all about what it was going to be like. And you can tell from the trailer, like, it is a more fun, less serious, low budget movie, not to be taken too seriously, and it kind of reminded me of Reanimator, and I know you recommended that one to me as well, and both of them, I really like both of them. Yeah,
and like I think the creativity really shines through in both of those films. So yeah, like even things like in this, the stop motion is really good and fun. Like we've talked before about low budget ones that we've enjoyed and how they've used them, you know, they've thought creatively around the lack of money that they've got to spend on things. And these are just like a perfect storm of things. Obviously it looks like a sleazy Manhattan because it is a sleazy Manhattan. Yeah. Like it just looks, he's just, obviously I can't imagine he had any, you know, signed things to say that he could film in the places he filmed. I think it was like film on the run kind of stuff. Yeah. But the characters that you have in it who just pop up, you don't see people like that in films. You certainly don't anymore. Like extras don't look like that anymore. They're just such an interesting, like add such an interesting flavor to it. The people who just pop up, and it's one of, like, I didn't know. I watched it recently with a friend who lives in New York, and I was like, why is everybody in that hotel the same people? Like, people in hotels tend to, like, you know, stay for a night or two or whatever, but they seem to be, like, living there. Yeah. And he's like, oh, well, in certain parts of New York, there's they call them, like, hotels, but people will live there long, in these very low rent, $5 a night kind of places around that time. They'll just live there all the time. So it made more sense to me why they're all kind of nosing in the rooms and talking to each other and helping each other out.
Yeah.
Because if they were all strangers, you'd be like, they wouldn't even be speaking to each other, would they?
No. Yeah, and like we said, like obviously low budget. This was only 35k. I'd like to know how much of that budget went on certain things. Like you mentioned, like stop motion. I'm not sure how much like that.
Yeah, or
that
Belial.
cost.
Yeah, like
yeah,
Belial.
yeah. I'm sure that's probably where most of it went.
Yeah, what do you think of Belial? Like, I know he does some questionable things, but like, I like him. He's cute.
I like him. He's fun. He eats cheeseburgers.
Yeah,
just chucks like a load of cheeseburgers in the basket. He's happy.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to spoil any of the other ones, but like the second and third ones, like, are just, you think Belial is like sort of a cartoon character in this, then it's only going to get more silly.
Oh god!
For him particularly,
I do need to check him out. I really want to check him out. Yeah. You'll probably disagree with me on this one, and full well I'm not a huge lover of remakes. However, I actually think, because not a load of people are aware of this film, I actually think this would be a really good film to remake today. It's so different. What would you think? Because I know you really love this movie. Would you rather it be left alone, or would you be more interested to see this one nowadays? Like how Blumhouse are like redoing a lot of like the Stephen King films and stuff. So
I don't know if I'd prefer it, if I'd like it to be Blumhouse, because I feel like a lot of them are just kind of thrown together quite fast, and there's not a lot of thought gone into them, like the Salem's Lot one and things like that. But what I would say is, I mean, it's a bit different, but Street Trash, I didn't like the original from 1987. I watched the 2024 one. I don't know if you've heard of a film called Fried. Oh, what's it called? Fried, not Fried Larry. Fried. People should just shout it. So whoever made the new Street Trash is a South African filmmaker, and it's like just as wild and crazy as the original. They would do a really good job of remaking this, because there was quite a lot of heart to the new Street Trash, and this needs heart. If you're going to remake it and just have Belial as like Monster of the Week, it won't work. Ryan Kruger, that's what he's called, the South African guy Ryan Kruger, who made what's it called? Is it Fried? I want to say Fried Barry. I don't know if you've heard of Fried Barry.
Fried Barry? No, I've not.
So I didn't get into Fried Barry at all, but it's really gooey and squelchy, and like the new Street Trash is like that as well, very neon. I'd like to see his version of Basket Case. Yeah, it'd have to be somebody with a sense of humor and a sort of, somebody who can put their own spin on it, rather than just like a shot for shot, high res version of it. But it just wouldn't do it for me. But you're probably right. I think somebody could do a really good job of it. I don't think they need to make it into like an A24 classy thing. It needs to be trashy, because that's what.
It's just, I know they're doing like a lot of remakes for films that I don't actually think need to be remade. How they did like A Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. They didn't necessarily need to be done, because the originals were so good. Like they were great, but obviously this one, it was limited to the amount that they could do back then. Like it was, so they only had 35k. They had to use stop motion, and you can tell by looking at it, even by watching the trailer, you can tell how low budget it was. I'm just interested to see how this film would be done nowadays with a much larger budget, to see where it could go visually.
Yeah, because like you said, I think even when they're making films like the new Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff, I think partly they know this is not going to go well. Yeah. But also remaking this, you've not got as much You've
Yeah.
probably got a little bit more leeway to do something a bit different.
Well, not a lot of people know this film because I'd never heard of this film until you put me onto it. So I'm just thinking,
Yeah, it's definitely like a kind of, I don't know, it's like a certain type of 80s Fangoria fan. Before horror was horror's a lot cooler now, I think.
yeah.
So like, I think you had to be kind of quite a off-center person to seek out Basket Case in the 80s. Now, hopefully, more like people will get to see it because horror is cooler. But you don't see many Belial things at conventions.
No.
You don't see. I mean, I think the thing is, well, Frank Henenlotter is getting on in years and doesn't really do much. He makes a couple of He's made a couple of documentaries, but he doesn't make any. He hasn't made like a horror film since 2008.
Right.
Kevin Van Hentenryck is kind of like not off the grid, but he's kind of like arty kind of guy. There isn't like a cast of loads of people to go around the conventions and hype up the film in the way that there is with, say, like you could maybe get 3 or 4 people from Halloween 3 to go around the conventions, or you get all the Dream Warriors back together, or that kind of thing.
That would be a pretty good cosplay to go as, though.
Yeah, to be Duane with Belial attached to you would be pretty cool.
Yeah, or just walk around with a wicker basket and have it pop out every now and then.
Yeah,
have
that
it
would
like
be
a
good
puppet.
too.
You can have your hand underneath, and then you just like throw your hand out, and it looks like Belial.
Yeah, there's not enough Belial things. Yeah. There isn't. I can't think of any actually.
No. Cool. Right.
You've got a T-shirt though. It's a good T-shirt.
I've got a T-shirt.
I've got the T-shirt that Ben is wearing is the tenant in room 7 is very short. No, very.
I'm
very
trying
short,
to read
very
it upside
twisted
down.
and very
the
mad.
tenant in room 7 is very small, very twisted, and very mad.
And the funny thing is, I've got that same poster, but I've got it in Spanish.
Spanish?
Yeah, so I've got the Spanish poster of that, the same wording and everything. But it's currently, my wife is hopefully, even as we speak, getting it framed for Christmas for me.
Oh, wow. Cool. That's quite unique. How come it's in Spanish?
I was just looking for what it was. There was a guy on a Facebook group for posters, and he was selling a load of posters that I wanted, and one of them was Flight of the Navigator, like the actual, like the massive ones that you'd see outside the cinema. Yeah. And I was like, I've got to have that. And then he just said, oh, I've got all these that are for sale as well, and we can, double up on the postage or whatever. And one of them, he was like, oh, I've got this one. I've got a load of Spanish ones. And it was like a Spanish version of Top Secret, the Zucker brothers film, Jim Abrams, who sadly passed away yesterday, and the Spanish Basket Case. And I was like, right, I'm having both of those. So yeah, cool. That's my plan. I'm really struggling for real estate for putting up posters, but this one will definitely be pride of place.
You've always got the ceiling.
Yeah, I never even thought of that. It's knobbly though. The ceiling's a bit knobbly. That's so cool. I've got the shed.
Yeah.
the good thing is as well, if people are looking to get this, you can find the trilogy Blu-ray for less than £20 in most places.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it for my pre-spoilers. I was just having a quick look at the critic ratings. IMDb have given this a 6.1 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes given it a 77.
Ridiculous.
All right, we'll save your score till later.
11.
All right. Oh yeah, I couldn't actually. Well, I guess it didn't really have a box office, but there is nowhere to see how much this movie made. I can only find a budget. I couldn't find anything for a box office.
I seem to remember that they said in the US it was often doubled up with other films in like New York, particularly like double features. Right. So I don't know. I'm not sure how it went really.
Yeah. Well, I guess this would be what was known as like a midnight movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, unless you got anything else to add, shall we jump into the plot?
Yeah, let's go.
Cool. Right, I'll hit that spoiler warning.
Spoiler
Right, so this movie starts off with a doctor who's freaking out at home because some unknown creature cuts the power off before it attacks him. And then it jumps forward a little bit and we meet our main man, Duane Bradley. He arrives in New York and we see him get a room in this dingy little hotel while carrying a large wicker basket. I was going to say, like, I honestly lost count how many times I heard the quote, "What's in the basket?" Like, I should have, like, done a little tally, like, how many times they say it. Like, every single person you see at some point says, "What's in the basket?"
I think David Fincher's somewhere going, I'm going to steal that, but change my homework so it's what's in the box instead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's where... That's where I made a note as well about what you said earlier about Duane when he's holding the cash in the hotel. That is the budget, which is quite wild.
I'll just while I know this is an audio podcast, I'll just try and see if I can show you. That's the Spanish poster of your t-shirt there. And as I was looking for it, I see somebody else is selling it for 60 quid. So I did all right there for 20 quid.
That's cool. I like it. So yeah, like basically we find out later in a flashback that he had a conjoined deformed creature called Belial, and it was surgically removed by 3 doctors against his will, and that's who they're kind of like seeking revenge on. One of them being the doctor from the beginning of the movie. Yeah, fun fact, apparently the name Belial is in some Hebrew text and it's reference to the devil.
Yes, yeah. I love Belial, and also kind of it drives me mad because every time I try and write it down for something, I always spell it wrong. Always. This is I just have a glitch in my brain when it comes to spelling of that name. But yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people Google the film and find the Green Day song as well.
yeah.
Which is, it's one of the first kind of punky songs I remember everybody being really into when I was at school.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that when I was trying to do my notes, I was typing in basket case and it was just coming up with Green Day. Got to be more specific. Got to put that date in there. Basket case 1982. So yeah, he goes and sees the second doctor and eventually kills him. But whilst he's there, he seems to fancy the assistant and they go on a little date.
Oh.
And then whilst they're out, like someone sneaks into his room to rob him because obviously he was flashing all that cash around.
Yep.
And then Belial, he tears him apart.
Well, I don't feel sorry for that person at all.
Yeah.
It's funny how that woman's just like, like a good boy from, like I'm in horrible, sleazy New York, and he seems like a good boy. I'll attach myself. I will. I like this guy. Like almost instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how you notice these things when you go back and watch them for a couple of times. It's like, oh, she seems to take to him very quickly.
Yeah.
But it's oddly, like, inexplicably touching in places.
Well, I think it's around this time as well we get a real glimpse at Belial, like outside of the basket, like crawling around, and obviously that's when they use the stop motion animation in that bit.
And it's not like full, like, hello, my baby, hello, honey, hello. It's not like doing a little dance, but it's close.
Yeah, well, in most cases, like, stuff like this will really, like, kind of lower the film's vibes because it's definitely a dated, cheap kind of technique. But I actually think it adds to the film's kind of, like, campy aesthetic. I think it's quite fun. Like, it's good. I actually enjoy watching stuff like that, like stop motion. Like, because they used a lot of it in like Evil Dead and other films like that, and I just think it's so much better than using CGI.
Yeah, it just, I don't know, it's just like the brain accepts, my brain anyway, accepts it more.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I guess like when watching a film like this nowadays, it really like proves its age. But so does Duane's hair. Like,
Yeah, and also like even saying that though, for 1982, it stands the test of time pretty well.
yeah, I like it. Yeah, the next day, Duane and Belial, they go to the third doctor, and Belial kills her by shoving her face into a drawer of sharp objects. And
Ouch.
then it's a kind of weird ending because Belial gets jealous over Duane and his new girlfriend, and they cause like a big scene in the hotel, which everyone sees, and then they fall from the window, don't they? Yeah, did you realise at the end of this, when the credits come up, that a lot of the names are fake? They're fake names.
Yeah, I think I did, just because they wanted to make it look a bit more professional, like there were more people involved in the film.
Yeah, the crew was so small, so instead of repeating everyone's names over and over again, they just like made some up to make it look like it was a bigger.
Yeah, it's very sweet,
crew.
really. That.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. Right, so who is going to go first for this rating?
Oof. I mean, you go first. I'm interested in your thing because I maybe have too much of an emotional attachment for it.
All right. I feel like we might be close, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think we're going to be close, seeing as you're wearing the t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like I hated it too.
Yeah, I understand why this is a cult film. It's very unique. I'll say it's probably not for everyone, but if you're a midnight movie enthusiast that enjoys kind of strange, gory, ridiculous, slocky horrors, then I think you'll love it, just like I have. And I respect the creativity and the vision that went into it, as well as pulling it all off with an extremely low budget. So I am going to go for... I was going to go 7.5, but no, I think I'm going to go 8.
Excellent. I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased that you like it. I'm also very pleased that like you've kind of at first time watch appreciate it in the same way. Like I wondered if maybe I was just it was just exactly my kind of thing, you know what I mean? And not a lot of other people. So it's nice that you've appreciated it.
Yeah.
So, to cut a long story short, I am going to give it 10.
Wow.
Because I love this film. There's only a few films I would give 10. I think it's probably an honest 8 and an emotional 10. But for once, I'm going to give something a 10. I'm going to go with my emotions because I love the film.
Fair play. Cool. I think that's maybe your second 10 out of 10 out of all the episodes. I was just
wondering that if I've actually ever given anything a 10 before.
I believe Halloween 3. I think you gave that a 10.
Because like maybe thinking about it now, I can't think of any. Well, probably I should. We did Reanimator, and I feel like I should have probably have given Reanimator a 10. If I was to go back and change my score. We've never watched. I don't think we've done. There's a few that will be in the conversation: Nosferatu, Black Christmas, Wicker Man.
Oh no, you
some
did
of them.
Give it
some
a
of them
10.
we've not watched.
No, you did. You gave Reanimator a 10.
Oh, okay, cool. I wondered if I gave it a 9. You see, and maybe The Exorcist. Or possibly.
Yeah, Halloween 3 you gave a 9. Reanimator you gave a 10.
There we go. So this is up there with Reanimator.
Yeah, which is interesting because I connected to that one the same. I thought this one and that one were pretty on par with each other.
And I'd never thought about putting them together until you said it. So you obviously know more about what I like than I do.
Yeah. Okay, right. I've got something different for you now. We are not going to do a game today.
Ooh.
Instead, we've got a new segment for the podcast. So this is our news segment. And I've got a little sound clip that I've made as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, very, very easy.
So yeah, like news. This is going to be a segment like about what's new and upcoming in horror. So I've got a load of like movies on the horizon.
Okay.
So yeah, starting off with some sequels. I'll quickly blast through them because there's a lot, and then we'll get to some more like original kind of stuff. So sequels that are coming soon. We've mentioned already 28 Years Later. That's coming soon. We got Megan 2.0, Scream 7, The Conjuring, whatever it is now. Last Rites it's called. Insidious 6, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, The Black Phone 2, and Final Destination Bloodlines.
Ooh. I was with it until the word Bloodlines.
Yeah.
Made me think of Hellraiser.
Yeah, and then remakes on the 3rd of January. We've got the remake of Nosferatu.
Yeah, I am looking forward to that.
You're looking
A few of
forward
those I'm looking forward to. The Scream. I'll always watch a new Scream film.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Not asked about The Conjuring.
Yeah.
What was the first one you said? I've forgotten now.
Oh, 28 Years Later.
Oh yes, because that's a lot of that was filmed locally, and the fact it's filmed on an iPhone is quite interesting as well.
On an iPhone?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, most of it with loads of filters attached and stuff. But yeah,
Oh.
so it should be interesting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's a few there that I'm not. I'll need to watch Megan.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I've not seen it yet, so
I quite like that one. That was good. I think I saw that in the cinema. Yeah. So yeah, remakes Nosferatu, which comes out on 3rd of Jan, so not too far away. And then on 17th of Jan, we've got Wolfman, which could be quite interesting. Ooh. Yeah. And then we've got a couple of originals. I guess you could call this original because it's not been done before. But there's I don't know if you've seen this coming. There's a poster going around. It's called Screamboat.
No.
And that's coming out on 24th of Jan. And
Is it Scream on a boat?
No, if you've seen the poster, you'll quickly understand what this one's all about. It's a horror reimagining of Walt Disney's Steamboat Willie.
Oh, okay. So yes, because it's in the public domain. Yes.
Yeah. So it's
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey all over again.
Yeah, it's essentially about a group of New Yorkers who are terrorized by a murderous version of Mickey Mouse.
Right.
Well,
I mean, we've all got on that bandwagon. I did a vaporwave remix of that to try and get some people to watch my channel.
I think this will be one for you though, because it's produced from the people that made Terrifier 2, and
Okay.
it's also got David Howard Thornton playing Mickey Mouse.
Oh, okay. Maybe it won't be as horrible because the Mickey Mouse, the Winnie the Pooh one, the first one, I didn't mind it at all. I thought it was going to be terrible. It wasn't that bad. The second one I thought was terrible. So yeah, I don't know. We'll wait and see on that one. I think he's very good. He's got a lot of great physicality that he brings to anything that he did. There's a thing he did like a self-taped version of the Joker.
Okay.
Years and years ago, and he was really good.
Oh, okay.
For that as well. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see, won't we? We'll see how that one goes.
Yeah.
I'll give it a watch.
Yeah, 24th of January that one is.
Yeah.
And then lastly is another film called The Monkey, which comes out 21st of February. And that is based on a short story from Stephen King, and it's directed and screenplay by Osgood Perkins.
Oh yeah, Longlegs.
Yeah, he's the son of Anthony Perkins from Psycho.
Perkins, yeah.
Yeah, so that could be pretty interesting. Yeah, The Monkey. Yeah.
I wonder if it'll be like Monkey Shines or something like that. And kind of get. Yeah, there was a Shack mode. There was a run of monkey films in the 80s. So yeah, in the 80s. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I quite like Longlegs. There was nothing new in Longlegs. There was just like odd Nicolas Cage, which made it better. But really, it was essentially Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Or a bit of Silence of the Lambs, a bit of Seven. So, yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, just to wrap up, like next episode, I did a poll pick on the socials, and that poll pick was for underrated horrors. And yeah, we had a total of 78 votes, and the movies were between House, The People Under the Stairs, and Frankenhooker.
Ooh, another Frank Henenlotter.
Yeah, you will be very happy to know that Frankenhooker won by a long shot.
Awesome.
And
I
that
voted 50 times.
61 apparently.
I don't even know where my DVD of it is as we're talking, but I will definitely dig it out.
Yeah, that's another film that I had not heard of. When we very first started doing the podcast and you gave me a big list of your films, and a lot of them were cult films, like obviously Basket Case being one. Another one that you had on the list for me was Frankenhooker.
Yeah,
so,
probably all the Frank Henenlotter ones were probably on there. I mean, I wanted to see Patty Mullen. She was supposed to be in the UK the year before last, who's the lead actress in Frankenhooker, but she just didn't turn up.
Oh, okay.
So.
Well, I'll watch that later, and you never know, I might be wearing a Frankenhooker t-shirt next week.
You might do. You might be. You never know.
Yeah.
Can I make a recommendation as well for people who like reading spooky things?
Of course you can.
Free, if you just Google the name of the story, it's in the public domain, so it's totally free. It's a book called The Man Who Went Too Far, or a short story, should I say. It's about just less than 20 pages. The Man Who Went Too Far by E.F. Benson. It is a really, really good kind of folksy horror based around the idea of like Pan and nature, and it's really interesting. I read it last night, and I thought it was brilliant. Also, I've got a little edited best of clip of a watch party I did of Basket Case on my YouTube channel, which is in the beginning of December. So I edited all that together. I watched Basket Case with my friend who lives in New York, and we talked about New York, and we talked about Basket Case. So if you like this episode,
yeah, awesome, yeah, nice. So yeah, we'll do Frankenhooker next, which is obviously another Frank Henenlotter. So I'm looking forward to watching that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I think that'll be a fun episode as well.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if you will be wearing a t-shirt with it on, just because, well, I don't know. It might not be one you wear to parents' evening, though.
Yeah. Basket Case is fine, though.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally fine. Yeah.
All right, cool. I'll see us out. So if you've liked today's episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You can find us on the socials, and that's where you can join in the chats and vote on the poll picks for what we cover. That's a wrap for today, so thanks a lot for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Frankenhooker.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick. Here's Johnny.
I have to return some videotapes.